Hello, everybody. Apologies for being late. 7 minutes late, in fact. Oh, my word, what will we do? Kev was 7 minutes late starting a live stream. Panic, 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 if you want to know why. Firstly, I didn't intend for this to be a stream that was out here in the garage. It was supposed to be one in the house with the rest of the family involved. But this thing that I wasted £600 on a few months back, that we've had trouble with before on streams. This is the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark III. It's supposed to be on a live stream directly from camera. You might remember it from the last stream when it just died about 11 minutes into the stream. Just died. Battery didn't work. This time it just would not connect at all. So I apologise. It's not going to be a ranty stream. That's all I'm going to say about the stupid camera. But how are we all? Is everybody good? I know this isn't quite the stream that was advertised. But, you know, you've got me in a pink shirt and a baseball cap. What more could you possibly want? Once again, apologies for being a little bit late. And if you were looking for a full-on family live stream, blame Canon. Hopefully we're all good. We don't need to do the normal preamble, I don't suppose, of letting people arrive because you were all here well before me. So let's jump straight into a Q&A. I'm planning on doing like 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe. I do have a cup of coffee, so we could do this You Now style and do it with... for as long as it takes me to drink that cup of coffee, I'll answer as many questions as you want on whatever topic you want. So feel free to fire away. But as ever, I would just remind everybody that if you are planning on asking a question for the Q&A, if you at us in the comment, because then it flashes up in red on my screen. I guess you can see the chat because you're in it. Oh, I see. I'm stressed now, so I'm going to say stupid things. But yeah, the chat is busy. It's fast moving. I can't read every comment, but I will do my very best to read as many of the ones that flash up in red as I possibly can. So I'm going to start with one from Rye Pulse, who says, "What was my favourite vlog to film?" My favourite one to film, it would be... I mean, it could be any of the ones where we've gone anywhere cool. Disneyland was fantastic. So much fun doing that. I love the Comic-Con vlogs because Comic-Con is my favourite place. I really enjoyed Centre Parks last weekend, Belgium. So yeah, anything that's anywhere really cool or stuff that perhaps I wouldn't be able to do if it wasn't for the vlog. So I guess... as much as I say I like filming the Disneyland and the Centre Parks and the Bruges ones, I guess the issue with them is the editing, because I do operate on a small amount of sleep when we go somewhere like that, because we're out from first thing in the morning to bedtime, but somewhere in between bedtime and first thing the next morning I have to edit this together. So probably one of the Comic-Con ones are my favourites to film. Unfortunately, they're not your favourites to watch, but I love doing them. Ned Flanders says, could I do a short review on the Apple Watch? I can do it right now. It's great. I've had a Fitbit for about 5 years. I've had about 3 different versions of Fitbit and really liked them. But this takes it to another level. It tells me when to get up and stretch. It tells me when to breathe. It tells me the fact that Siri works on it and I can send text messages from it. I can control music and TV and stuff all from my watch. It's got maps built into it. It's just wonderful. Plus it calls me Batman. Hey Siri, what time is it? Hey Siri, what time is it? And it does work, I promise.
It's 17:11.
Thanks. Love that. It's brilliant. Plus all the health stuff is good as well. The fact that it tells me how much it does. The one thing that does annoy me a little bit is it doesn't monitor sleep, because the battery life on this is so much shorter than the Fitbit. The Fitbit would last for 3 or 4 days. The battery life on the Apple Watch is 18 hours, so I have to charge it every night, so it doesn't get to monitor my sleep. But I like to see what's going on with my heart rate and monitor my steps and all that kind of thing. But it does so much more on top of that. It's a very cool bit of kit. Right, let's move on to the next question. Whoa, I hit scroll and there's so many more questions. My word. Sophia Gray says, do we live in Peterborough? Yes. Childish Hoodie says, how is Andy? Andy is good. Andy's enjoying a weekend off camera. He had actually gone upstairs while I was trying to set this up. I think he was going to not be on the stream anyway, because as soon as he saw me setting the stuff up, he took his stuff and went upstairs. But we haven't filmed at all yesterday or today. So we've got the live stream today. There's something else coming out tomorrow. It's not the games night video, but there is something else. So we've kind of had a bit of a weekend off of vlogging, which I think has done everybody the world of good, because we'd had quite an intense couple of weeks of lots of vlogging. Obviously, Centre Parks, although it was a great trip. It was very much a working weekend. He says, "Oh, that's such a stupid thing to say," but it was. We were all on camera a lot. We haven't really had any downtime, despite the fact we've just had a holiday. So we've had some downtime this weekend, and I think he's really benefited from it. But yeah, he's good. He's had a good couple of days. Alice H says, "What was my least favourite subject at school?" My least favourite subject at school was German. I just can't do languages, which is weird because I then went on to do a computer science degree and can do like 4 different programming languages, but actual speaking languages I've just never been able to master. Brandon asks, "How's Anna doing with uni?" She's doing good. I mean, she's only been back a few days, but yeah, she's doing very well. Right, it's just jumped forward a little bit again. Oh my word, I can't even pause it to be able to pick some questions out. Luke Evans asks, what's the dream Disney trip, California or Florida? The dream, if money became absolutely no object, like if we won the Euro Millions or something, the absolute Disney dream would be like 2 weeks in Florida. That would be awesome. I'm getting a warning saying the bitrate is not high enough. I'm hoping you can still see me. I'm going to assume that you can. No one's saying in the chat that it's got laggy, so I think we're probably okay. But yeah, the dream one would be Florida, and just have a couple of weeks there because there's so much there. The practical one that might actually be able to happen within the next year or two would be California, because what I'm thinking is we could combine California with VidCon, and maybe not next summer. Next summer's probably too soon, but possibly the summer after. Aim to do VidCon at the same time as a Disney. Is it Disneyland in California, and a few other bits and pieces in California as well, and maybe like have, let's say, 10 days in California, do VidCon, do Disney, do the other bits that we want to do there. And I think that would be an awesome trip. Right. James Spory says, "What put me off teaching at primary? I don't like young kids." Is the main thing. Even at secondary school, my PGCE, my teaching qualification, is for 14 to 19-year-olds. So I didn't even like teaching the younger age groups at secondary school. I relate better to teenagers, to older kids, because I think my sense of humour is quite blunt and sarcastic, and the older kids laugh along with me, and we can have a little bit of, I hate this word, but we can have a little bit of banter, a little bit of back and forth, take the mickey out of each other a little bit. I did have a bit of a track record for making year 7s cry, because I don't really know how to talk to them as well. And yeah, I think primary school would have been an absolute disaster. But because I did a 14 to 19 PGCE, I never even had a primary school placement. Normally when you do a secondary PGCE, you do like a short placement in a primary school in addition to your placements in secondary schools. But because mine was 14 to 19 rather than 11 to 16, my mini placement was at a college. So I was always leaned towards the older kids. Charlie Mason says, "What's my opinion on the Nether update on Minecraft 1.15? I've not really seen anything about it. I'm vaguely aware it happened, but I haven't seen any of the Minecon stuff. I'm not that into Minecraft yet. I'd rather just be playing it. I'm still discovering what's already in there. We're a long way away from me being hot off the press with the news about Minecraft. Ray's Story says, "Did you realise you said Anna's job isn't a real job in the vlog the other day? Because it was very offensive, if you ask me." Yeah, I did realise I said that, because it's not her real job. It's just a little part-time job she's doing while she's at uni. If anyone's taken that as working in the co-op's not a real job, then stop looking for ways to be offended, because that's obviously not what I meant. It's a little part-time job she's doing while she's at uni. It's not her real job. I used to work in a shoe shop while I was in sixth form. That wasn't my real job. That was just a little thing that I did for a little bit of experience and a little bit of pocket money. If you want to be offended, be offended. But yeah, she's obviously not going to university to get better at working on the checkout in a corner shop. Don't be offended by that. It's just the way it is. Will Andy ever learn to drive? Asks Jam. No way of knowing. Who knows? that's up to him and how he develops in his future. What's Andy's favourite TV show? That's from Mackenzie Aitchison. I don't know. At the moment, probably, I mean, anything on Challenge he loves. He doesn't really sit and watch TV shows very much, but he does like to have Challenge, the channel, on. So anything on there. Do I have Mario Kart on phone? I have downloaded it on phone. I played a little bit and then remembered I've got a Switch and a DS and there's no reason to play it on my phone. It's fine if you've got no other way to play Mario Kart and you miss it for nostalgia. But to me, it just seems like it's like that Super Mario Run thing they did a few years ago. It's fine, but it's not the real thing, and I'd rather play the real thing. Right, let's pick out some more questions. Georgie K says, what did Amy take at GCSEs? Amy's only just starting at GCSEs. So she's talked about the subject she's doing before. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but she's a long way away from finishing them. One Jade Amber says, how's Lucy finding uni, from a fellow nursing student? As I'm sure you'll appreciate, Jade, I'm assuming you're called Jade, and she's finding it very tiring. Some very long days, long hours, hardest work she's ever had to do, and she's only 2 weeks in. So she's loving it, but it's hard. And as her mum has explained to her, because she's a nurse, as her mum has explained to her, it's not ever going to stop being that. Even 10 years after she's qualified, it will always be long days, hard and tiring, and like emotionally tough at times. But it's what she wants to do, and she gets a lot of satisfaction out of it. Trying to pick out a few more questions. Remember, if you are asking a question, make sure you at the Chapman family, or else I'm just ignoring everything that's not atted at us. So just be aware of that. If you are, I can see there's a few names popping up over and over again, but if you're not listening and atting me, I'm not going to go to the effort of reading the stuff. Thomas McGoldrick says, how did Andy first discover bells and churches? I think, they're things that are just always around, aren't they? There's always churches nearby. And I think he just liked him. He probably went in to visit them, maybe on a school trip at some point, or heard the bells ringing while he was at the park. Certainly by the time I met Anna and Andy, he already loved churches. So I think it's something that he's always been keen on since he was little. Keith Watson says, what you proud of Andy? Do you want to reword that one, Keith? I think you're asking me what thing that Andy's done am I most proud of. I think, there's so much stuff in the last 3 months even. I think our proudest moment as a family was when he started eating a full plate of dinner, like an actual meal, even though it's only fish fingers and waffles, or when he had his first Happy Meal. It's such weird things to be proud of, but even a year ago, we couldn't have dreamt of him mixing foods together like that, and it was just really cool. Someone just said, and I didn't catch their name before it scrolled, would we like to go to Disney in Japan? Absolutely, I would love to go to Japan, and when we do, not if we do, when we do, going to Disney will definitely be part of that, because Anna would like to go to all the Disney places around the world, but I would, I want to go to Japan desperately. It's certainly, if we get past both coasts of the US, and Vegas and Florida, I guess. So New York, California, both LA and San Francisco, Las Vegas, Florida for Disney. Once we've got those 4 US trips done, Tokyo is next on the list. I love like Japanese culture stuff. I love the idea of going to use all the vending machines, and it just looks awesome. I want to go to a vending machine, buy some bees and a watch, and then go to Disneyland and then play some Pokemon, and it would be awesome. Kai XXX something. Will you ever come to Scotland? Probably. Haven't done yet, but probably. Don't know when, don't know why, but probably. It was always a dream when I was younger to go and play Edinburgh, like do the Edinburgh Festival at some point, but I've kind of drifted away from doing comedy stuff over the last few years. That podcast that we thought we might be able to take to Edinburgh kind of stopped. All I really do with Sheepdog now is MGP, which isn't really a comedy podcast. But yeah, I'd love to do the Edinburgh Festival at some point. probably after the kids are grown up and gone, get back into try and doing something funny again. And yeah, Edinburgh would be cool. But yeah, we'll go to Scotland at some point, I'm sure. Angus Mercer says, do I play FIFA 20? I have played FIFA 20. It's not very good. I played like 3 matches, didn't really like it. But then FIFA 19, I've still got a couple of hours left on my 10-hour trial of that. It's just FIFA, isn't it? It doesn't ever change, doesn't ever get any better. It's no Football Manager. And until it's as good as Football Manager, which it never will be, it's never going to attract my attention. Lauren Tell says, what conventions are we doing for the end of this year? Right, conventions that I am doing. These are all just as visitors at the moment. I'm not booked for anything, although fingers crossed. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm booked for Comic-Con. But there are some other things in the work for pretty much everything else that I'm talking about we're in discussions with. But I will be at EGX. I will be at London Comic-Con, where I am doing the neurodiversity panel again. I'm going to be at Social in the City Winter Edition in Birmingham, aka Winter in the City, the Summer in the City event in the winter. I'm going to be at VidCon London. I'm going to be at Birmingham Comic Con. We're going to be at Goose Fair. That's not really a convention. But yeah, there's all that stuff. And there's still a possibility of panels at all of them. We've been offered a podcast slot at EGX, but it's at 5 o'clock on the Sunday. And Pab's train home is at like 4 o'clock on the Sunday. And Anna starts work at 7 the next morning. And none of us really want to be doing a live podcast show at 5 o'clock on the Sunday at EGX. So we did a live podcast at EGX last year, and I think it was like Sunday lunchtime. So we're trying to get that moved. So there might be a panel at EGX. There's definitely one at Comic-Con, and fingers crossed, something at Winter in the City and VidCon London as well. But I'll definitely be at the events regardless. Dean says, what happened to the diet? Summer happened to the diet. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's until I have my first heart attack. I'm being whimsical about it deliberately, but in all seriousness, it just doesn't ever reach the top of my priorities list. And I want it to. I would love health and fitness and diet to be a top priority for me, but I think we're still a little bit away from that. And I know some people are super into health and fitness and will be flabbergasted that especially a fat guy who's clearly not particularly healthy can sit there and say how his health's not his number one priority, but it's not. It should be, but take it as an example. For me to eat healthily, I need to plan that. I need to find time to plan it. So let's say we've got a couple of hours a week of doing that. Healthy food takes longer to prepare than unhealthy food. So let's add another hour a day on for food prep and tidy up. So we're now up to like 9 hours a week just to plan to eat right and then eat right. Then there's going to the gym as well. That's a 15-minute drive away. So that's half an hour just to get there each day. Then I'm there, 45 minutes? So we're looking at an hour and a quarter a day. So 6.5, 7 hours a week on top of the 9 hours from before. That's 15 hours a week. Well, 15 hours a week is how long I spend on lollujo 2, my second gaming channel. 15 hours a week is how long I might spend. I mean, that's 3 Football Manager videos. And I know that will sound like an excuse to a lot of people, but for me, it's a higher priority to earn enough money to be able to live. And as much as we've had a lot of comments recently about, oh, you're flashing your cash, or oh, you're clearly doing all right for yourself with all these holidays you've been on. I mean, ultimately, the only one we've actually paid for was Disney, and we saved up for that for over a year. But Bournemouth was paid for by some very generous donations. People sent us Premier Inn vouchers, so we didn't pay for that. Belgium cost £7 because it was all done on club card vouchers. Centre Parks was a branded trip, so it didn't cost us anything. So as much as just by watching the videos, it might seem like we're suddenly doing really well for ourselves, we're not. If I had a week off of making videos, the following month would be a really difficult month financially. So for me, I need to get to the point where I don't even care which channel it is. One of the 3 gets to the point where I don't have to make videos every day. And I can I'd love to get to the point where I'm perhaps vlogging, perhaps just doing 1 video per channel, Monday to Friday, weekends off, and then spending a little bit of time writing and a little bit of time getting healthy. And we're not there yet. So at the moment, I'm fully focused on growing the channels, making as much money as I can, to get to the point where I can afford to work less so that I can then do these other things that I want to do. And getting fit and healthy is one of those things. On the flip side of that, I know that it would be simple. Just, yeah, that's all well and good, Kev, but just don't have that bag of crisps with your lunch. Don't have that Twix. But I'm hungry and they're quick and they're cheap. And I think there's a lot of people in the world in exactly the same situation as me. Right, let's have another question. J says, do I think Andy will be able to live on his own in the future? Again, it's similar to the one about driving, and we get the one about is he going to do exams and stuff, and there's no way of knowing. We're completely open to him developing at whatever pace he develops at, and then ultimately living the life that he wants to live. So I hope he'll be able to live independently, because in an ideal world, me and Anna will die about 20 years before him. 25 years before him. So he's going to be on his own for 25 years after we die and he continues living. But that's not to say we're going to kick him out on his 18th birthday and say, go and live on your own. It might take him until he's 30 to be able to be ready to do that. He might never be ready to do that. He might be in assisted living. It might get to the point where, as me and Anna get old and decrepit, that the girls start taking a more active role in his life. I don't know. We'll just have to see how everything develops. Someone just asked, would we ever go on tour with MGP? I didn't catch the name. We've talked about it. Oh, it was Keith. Would we ever go on tour with MGP? We have talked about it. Logistically, it doesn't quite work at the moment. I mean, we've done a very slow world tour over the last 5 years, because we've done shows. We've done like 4 shows in Peterborough. We've done a show in Birmingham. We've done a show in Nottingham. We're doing a show in London, hopefully this year at EGX. So we're very slowly touring, but our audience just isn't quite on a level to justify it yet. I mean, anyone who came to MGPX in Peterborough, there was probably maybe 50 or 60 people there. And although the events as standalone things do break even, we don't make a loss on those events. It doesn't cost us money to do them. They also don't make a profit. So when you then factor in travelling around the country, so the travel costs, the accommodation costs, it becomes impossible to actually fund the event without us having to put our hands in our own pockets. If we ever put on a show and 300 people turned up, then we'd be announcing a tour within a month probably, but we're a long way from that. We've been banging that drum for 7 or 8 years now, and it doesn't ever seem to grow. It's just a lot of fun. Mr. Limegrass says, do you let the girls go to concerts or shows alone? Lucy turns 18 in a few months, so absolutely I let her do stuff on her own. She went to see the Strokes in London on her own earlier in the year, and I happened to be in London at the time, so when she panicked, she phoned me, and well, not when she panicked, she didn't want to walk on a dark alley next to a canal, so I walked with her. But yeah, most of that day she did on her own. Amy, no, because she's only 13, so I think that's like 16, 17 is the age when you get to start doing stuff like that. Someone just said, will me and Anna... I'm seeing the questions, but then it's scrolling on before I see who asked them. Someone said, will me and Anna ever get married? Maybe one day. We've been engaged for 7 years. But again, it's a priority thing, because weddings are expensive. We don't see the point in getting married for the sake of getting married. So there's no point just going to the registry office and signing a bit of paper and doing it for 80 quid or however much it costs to do a cheap wedding. So if and when we get married, it will be a big wedding. But big weddings cost what, 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand? If you gave me £15,000 right now and said, Kev, you can spend this £15,000 on whatever you want, I'm not paying for a wedding, and neither's Anna. We're booking 2 weeks for all 5 of us in Florida with park tickets and everything, and it will be awesome. And that kind of trip, that's like 15 grand for a family of 5, but that's what we do with 15 grand. So if we got to the point where we could afford a wedding, we'd go to Disney in Florida first. And we're a long way from going to Florida, so we're a long way from having a wedding. And there's other stuff that we'd get if we had the money as well. Like Anna is hoping to learn to drive over the next year, because when it comes time to her to get a job at the end of uni, she needs to be able to drive. So she's going to need to buy a car. So again, we'd buy a car before a wedding and before Florida. So that pushes everything back further down the list. So yes, we'll get married at some point, probably, but we're not desperate to. We're not religious. So where if we ever find ourselves with a spare £100 and we've spent all our money on stuff that we wanted and there's a bit left over and it's enough to pay for a wedding, we'll get married then. And that's the perfect situation for me. Julia says, is there going to be a Geoguesser video out today? Yes, there is. Charlotte says, who walks Dave? Both me and Anna walk Dave, depending on what day it is and who's available and what time of day it is. But yeah, we both do. Sometimes we even do it together. Right, where did we get to? Is there? Oh, I've already answered that one. There's a lot of repetitive questions here. If you've asked a question, try not to keep asking it, because if you keep asking it, it makes it harder for me to see the other ones. And I am super behind on the chat, so there's questions that I know I've already answered that I've now seen 3 or 4 more times appearing in the chat. So obviously I answered them the first time, but people kept asking them. And if I see a question come up loads, then I'll just not answer it because you're not listening. Ben says, when can we have a live stream including Andy again? When he wants to do one. That was the plan for today, but a combination of the camera not working and Andy not fancying it, and it wasn't. I'm never in a million years, I will never be one of those families that forces their kids into doing stuff. I will never make him do a live stream if he doesn't want to do one. I'll never even try and persuade him to do a live stream. I never force anyone else to be on camera. I never force anyone else to stream or anything. So it has to be, if he fancies doing it, we'll do it. He might never want to do another one again, so you might never get another one again. But I realise that does cost us a lot in terms of growth and views, and there are families out there who have not been doing this as long as us, or who started at the same sort of time as us, who are much more into exploiting their kids, who have grown much quicker than us and overtaken us and shot off into the stratosphere and are now on another level of YouTube. And I see that we could do the same thing, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to sell my soul just for a bit of cash. I'll work myself fingers to the bone, but I won't force that on my family. I chose this. None of them chose it. So I'll put pressure on myself and I'll work hard myself, but I'll never put pressure on any of them to be any part of this. And if any one of them said to me tomorrow, I don't want to be in videos anymore, you wouldn't see them anymore. Lucy did. Lucy spent like 6 months not being on camera ever because she didn't want to be. Absolutely fine. You don't have to be. You didn't choose this. So, yeah, soon, maybe, but maybe not, is the answer to that question. How long have I been streaming for? It feels like much longer than the 20 minutes I told you I was going to do. We'll give it another 5 minutes because I've got to make dinner, because then I'm going to be streaming on Twitch later, I think. ASD by the Sea says, how is Andy's laptop now? It's fine. It worked fine. We fixed it. It was all good. Timmy Brisby says, how is Amy? Amy is fine. But I think are we about done? Have we run out of questions? I'm just scanning back up to see if there's anything else that's been tagged Chapman Family that I've missed. Would you go to Haven in Skegness? Says Rainbow Socks. We never say never. I hope Haven aren't watching. I doubt we'd ever go there. I don't think we'd pay to go there. If they wanted to offer us a trip the way Centre Parks did and convince us that they're great, then we probably would. And if we really enjoyed it, we'd probably go back. But again, it comes down to the whole wedding and money thing. Going to Haven at Skegness is a long way down our list of things that we want to do at the moment. That's not to say you won't see a Haven video in 6 months' time because they've decided to send us on a free trip. And we'll, just like we were with Centre Parks, be completely honest about what we think about the trip when we get back. Maybell says, what have we been up to today? I have spent most of the day trying to edit together the games night video that we recorded last weekend, and I'm nowhere near done. We recorded everything. There were 2 cameras set up pretty much the whole evening from about 8:30 through till about 11:30, and we played 3 full board games. We had a big party. We had loads of fun, and I think I've got about 4 hours footage total, but that's multiple cameras of different footage. So in total, we've probably got 8 or 9 cumulative hours of footage to go through to try and get into like a 20-25 minute video. So that's still, don't expect that this week. That's going to be a while yet. Right, we're going to do 3 more questions and then we're done. Adventures of Lola the Dachshund. I've never been able to say that word. Dachshund? Is that how you say it? How do you say that, dog? I don't know. What's my typical order from McDonald's? I tend not to, I don't like their burgers at all. So I don't really have burgers. So I'll usually have chicken selects I like. With the barbecue sauce and the sweet chili sauce. That's a nice meal. Or one of the crispy chicken wraps that they do. They do a nice sweet chili wrap, which is really nice. That being said, if they have a novelty burger on, even though I don't like their burgers, I'll always try something if it's only out for 2 weeks or if it's a limited edition thing. So we tried the Big Mac with, didn't they do a fancy bit? Was it a Big Mac with bacon or something they did? I tried that. I had all the Tastes of America ones over the last few years. Well, not all of them. That would involve like going every week. But whenever I was there, if there was one of them on, I'd have one. But just standard trip to McDonald's, it would be something chickeny. I'd rather go to KFC, to be honest. But Anna and Andy prefer McDonald's. Right, 2 more questions. Oh, there you go. Tasha Liner said KFC and McDonald's. KFC every single time. Marty Toll says, how did you find the automatic bus? Do you prefer a manual? No, I love the automatic. I'm really struggling being back on a manual then. I've been driving for 20 years, driving a manual for 20 years. I spent one weekend driving an automatic, not even the weekend. I drove to Centre Parks on the Friday night, drove home on the Sunday night in an automatic, and it was like a revelation. I've stalled my car so many times this week because I forget I have to use the clutch now. I kind of want an automatic, but they're so expensive. But yeah, I think my dad drives an automatic. He got an automatic like 2 or 3 years ago, and has been telling me ever since how great they are. I think I'm sold. I think my next car will be an automatic, but that will be years away because I've run a car into a ground. I basically have to have the mechanic take the car off me because it's not safe to drive anymore and ban me from driving it. And at that point, I'll get a new one. I hate cars. They're stupid. I'm trying to pick out one final question. Let's have a look. It's Adventures of Lola the Dachshund again. How do I export videos from the camera to a computer? I just take the SD card out. I don't, is there a, I mean, here you go. Here's the camera. There's the SD card and I just plug it in. We probably need to do another last question. That one was too easy. Top 5 wrestlers at the minute. Right, top 5 wrestlers at the minute. I like MJF. I think he's brilliant. Kevin Owens. We need another 3. Chris Jericho, just because he's awesome. Who else am I really into at the moment? Will Ospreay. And who's going to be my 5th? Let's say Bray Wyatt, because I like the Fiend stuff. It's really cool. There you go. That's my current top 5. Very much subject to change. We've obviously got a big week of wrestling ahead of us, which is going to be lots of fun. Chayton Arthur, thank you very much for the super chat as well. Just as we're finishing off, I think that's Anna saying, it is Anna saying, I'm hungry. Anna is ready for her dinner, so I need to go in and make dinner because I've got to cook it and everything yet, and we need to say goodbye. So thank you to everyone who has joined me for this live stream. Like I say, apologies it wasn't quite the stream as advertised, but hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. We are going to try and, I always say this, we're going to try and stream a bit more often. It's been like 2 weeks since the last one, and I kind of want to get into doing it once a week because I really enjoy it, and I think it's a nice way for us to chat, but I'm not sure when the next one will be. So come and chat with me on Twitch tonight, twitch.tv/lollujo.fm. But I will say goodbye for now. So if you have enjoyed this, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for more of this fun stuff. And thank you very much for watching.